Welcome to the Faithful Fathering Podcast. This is Rick Wirtz, founder and president of Faithful Fathering, where we work to encourage and equip dads to be faithful fathers. That's a dad that prioritizes physical presence, is engaged emotionally, and leads spiritually by example. That's emulating the triune nature of our God. And that's our responsibility as dads. In this segment, in this series, we've been talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of social media. And this particular segment, we're going to get into the ugly. With us in studio is Shanita Hart. She's outreach director for Street Grace Ministries, that deals with some of that ugliness that social media brings forth. And just want you to share a little bit of how we have had exploitation and crime, really, where social media has been a catalyst. Huh?
Yes. To get into it, so at Street Grace, we have an initiative called Transaction Intercept. And with Transaction Intercept, we have a chatbot platform called Gracie. And this is utilized by law enforcement, and also we can run numbers on it as well, just to see in what areas the stats are and the numbers that we're getting. And so for a while I was in Georgia, I worked on Transaction Intercept. And so you saw a lot of things on Instagram or Snapchat, the sending of pictures. And so with Gracie, what we do is you post decoy ads on nefarious websites to intercept buyers from trafficking. And so with working on Gracie, I realized how much exploitation was happening on social media. So a lot of people will say, oh, this is only happening on like these nefarious websites, but it's on Instagram, it's happening on Snapchat, it's happening on OnlyFans, and these are social media platforms that parents, children, everybody uses, and you see that people are being exploited, people are being sold, and a lot of people will say that, oh, that's just something that they want to do, but that's not true. You never know what's going on the back end. And this girl or boy could have this girlfriend or boyfriend thinking that, oh, they love me, but they're exploiting them by having them do something sexual in exchange for money, a shelter, food, or drugs. And so when you see this, that is sexual exploitation. That is not somebody that just wants to. They may think that the person that is selling them loves them because this is the only thing that they know. This person has been the only person that told them, I love you, you're beautiful, that has given them a roof over their head, has given them food, has bought them nice things. And so to them, it translates into love, but they are being sexually trafficked, exploited, and abused.
So is there a stalking that starts? Is this how it starts, or is that?
So I will say it could be a stalking, because in the sense of how somebody is preying after you, and this is why it's so important to have your settings private on your social media, because, for instance, if you're on Twitter and you're saying, I hate being at home, my parents are so annoying, that post right there lets the predator know there's trouble at home. Let's see what I can do. And they send a message, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. My parents are the same way. And this person, it doesn't have to be a 45-year-old man or woman. They can be the same age, but maybe they learned this behavior from somebody else. So they message your son or daughter and they say, I understand exactly how you feel. Man, finally found somebody that can relate to me. And so then the soon-to-be victim responses and says, oh my gosh, yes, I've been needing somebody to really talk to. I'm so happy that you messaged me. And they start a conversation off of Twitter. It turns into something that the victim thinks is romantic. She leaves home, they get their own place, and he says, oh, this isn't for free. I need you to do something for me, and invites over friends or invites over different Johns. And so that's how, unfortunately, how simple it looks. It's not the white van and you're being kidnapped and there's somebody with binoculars stalking you. And I'm not saying that can never happen, but the way that we see it happen so many times is through social media by relationships happening.
So is the sextortion kind of the enticing? Is that what that sextortion is? And then you move to sexual exploitation? Is that the right? Am I hearing that right?
So it's the grooming.
Okay.
So we'll start there. I'm sorry. It's the grooming.
Okay.
So you want to desensitize them to language, touch, images, videos, pornographic images, pornographic videos. Let them know this is okay. Everybody is watching this. You gain their trust. You are maybe even getting good with their families and friends. And so now they are clever enough to convince your family and your friends to love them, to like them. Oh, invite so-and-so over. We love them. But they have something else, planned for you, but nobody else knows because they're not seeing through the manipulation. And so there's a whole grooming process that happens. So certain touches, they'll desensitize you to let you know, oh, that's just how I always touch my friends or people that I like. And so they start to get you to trust them. And it's like, oh, maybe what they're doing, it is okay. And so you start to accept that because they said that they're not trying to harm you, but not realizing that, okay, this is a lie. And so that's why it's so important for parents, for youth to know what grooming is and how that works. So normally after grooming, that is when the sexual exploitation happens, in terms of now they have your trust. Now you guys are either most of the time dating in a relationship, and they start to exploit you. Now, when it comes to sextortion, that we see more of, a girl, a cheerleader, or just a regular girl likes a boy. She sends a picture to him because he says that he likes her. And this is just a small thing. And he shows his friends, sends it to all his friends because he's like, oh, look. And he thinks it's cool. That is a felony, and so he may not realize that, but parents having those conversations, that is a minor. And even though he's a minor too, that is child pornography that was just sent to the phone. Right. So he can get in trouble, or she can get in trouble for that. But we see sexual exploitation, sextortion also in the realm of, you get a message on Snapchat and the icon looks like a girl or a boy from school, and you guys start talking on Snapchat and they say, oh, send me a picture. So you send them just a regular selfie and they say, okay, now I'll send you a picture. And then now this is a picture copied from somebody else's social media that they're sending you. And they say, send me a different type of picture. So you send a more explicit picture. Now they have this in their hands and you sent them a few. If you don't send me this amount of money, I'm going to send this to your family. And they're not lying. They are telling the truth. And in many cases, they have done that. And that's when you see the unfortunate suicide that happens with youth because they feel so shamed and guilty. They don't want to tell their parents what they've done. And also, it's just this why would I do that?
So all of that starts, whether it's the grooming or the sextortion, with somebody equal in the school. These are what flags do dads and moms really need to be alert to that this is that this could be grooming, or this could be some coercion, if you will.
I think that all parents have and just something instinctual inside of them. But I would say certain red flags are, if we're going to, for example, let's say it's a coach. This coach is wanting to spend more time with your child. Oh yeah, they're the best basketball player that I've seen. They're really gifted. I would love to continue to coach them. I do this all the time. You need to be present. If this is true, be present, because where is this going? And just to say, okay, and allow your child to go, that already let them know that this child is vulnerable. Because if you have any type of I don't know, this doesn't sit right with me. He or she has been on this team for a few years. Why all of a sudden? Start asking those questions. The questions that you're thinking in the back of your mind that you don't want to think about this person. think about this person, because you don't know what have they done to gain your trust, or what have you seen them. Is this a good idea? Pray about it. Before, no, not right now. Let me think on it and see. But we train with her at home, or with him at home. Let these predators know that we are involved in our child's life. And so when you see certain flags on, maybe they're touching them in a way that doesn't sit right with you, even if it's the hand on the arm, you just saw him talk to, or her talk to 5 other athletes, and they didn't do that. So why are you touching my child? And so in the moment, it may feel like, oh, what? This is Coach so-and-so. They're the coolest coach. We love them. We've known them since they were in little leagues. Well, now your youth is a teenager and has developed in certain ways. And so just because you've known them all this time does not mean that they can touch your child, that they can be alone with your child. There needs to be supervision. There needs to be boundaries. And also, with you being alert and asking these questions, talk to your child and let them know there's boundaries you can set. Mm-hmm. Nobody needs to touch you, put their hands on you, especially if it's not warranted by you. Right. And you have the authority to move and say, do not touch me. Right. I would appreciate it if you did not touch me.
So you're not suggesting that we anticipate everybody interacting, every
right.
teacher is a groomer,
right?
But you are saying that have your antenna up, mm-hmm. and if you have I always say dads have a gut feel and moms have a radar.
Yes.
Between the two of you, know that something isn't right.
Right.
So run those traps, mm-hmm. right, and be present and be watching with some keener eyes, thanks to your insight there.
Right.
Now, when does it move all the way to the trafficking that you're so involved in with street race? What do you have to watch out for?
So when it moves to that, it can look like, especially if it's somebody, that you do trust. Let's say it is a family friend, and that trust is already there with the family. And so that grooming process already started. And now so-and-so, I'll pick Jimmy up or Sally up from school. Don't worry about it. Like, I know you had a long day. This looks very normal. Like, oh my gosh, you're so helpful. And they're picking so-and-so up from school. They take them to get pizza. Oh yeah, we'll just go back to my house. And even though the child feels uncomfortable, I can't say anything. This is, my mom or my dad's best friend. They trust them. He or she already said, if I say anything, nobody will believe me. And so right in that moment is when now the access has started. So now they're taken to another location and, sexually assaulted, and honestly, and it can go from there. So, hey, come over. I need you to do something for me. And maybe this person even convinced them that we're together. I love you. You love me. Right. And so now they're having other people that they know come over and do harm to this child. And so that is trafficking. Just because it's not going across state lines or it's not going in different countries, if multiple people are coming in and paying, there's a transaction, even if that's food. If you have a sexual relation with this person, I will buy you McDonald's. That was a transaction. That is trafficking. Mm-hmm. And so it is as simple as that. I know a lot of people talk about sugar daddies and sugar mamas. That in a form is trafficking. You are sleeping with somebody and they're paying you. That is a transaction was done, a sexual transaction. And so in terms of that is trafficking. And so when you really think about these things, it opens up your eyes. But that's how a relationship can form. So it seems you would think nothing was wrong because the family friend brings Sally back home. Sally goes to school. Timmy goes to school. They're still playing sports or getting straight A's, but they're hiding this because they don't think their parents will believe them over this family friend.
So, and what you're doing there is the kid is now going to internalize this, and it may not show up for years, right? And so, and back to our reference to Sounds of Freedom, this isn't quite as I guess in the movie it was very visible how kids were kidnapped essentially. Right. But it's much more subtle on the domestic front, isn't it?
Yes.
And that subtlety is almost like the old frog in the pot type thing, where you you don't think it's not that bad, it's not that warm yet, but it's not boiling yet, and then before you know it, you're cooked. Now, you also referenced that this could also manifest into cartel recruitment and smuggling, that type of thing. Expand a little bit more on that.
Yeah, my executive director, he shared this with me, that now the cartel is using social media to recruit smugglers and drug traffickers. And so, I mean, it's at their disposal. So they're seeing certain profiles, and maybe there could be gang related or just somebody who wants to fit in with a family because they may not have one. They feel alone. And so, hey, we have a job for you. I see you need money. We can help you. And so it doesn't seem that bad because it's like, who am I harming? Like it's just all I have to do is transport this here. And so that's how they're recruiting now. And I say that to say criminals are getting smarter, right? And so in order to stop certain things, we have to be smarter. Parents have to be on social media. You have to know what's going on, because if not, you are truly blindsided by everything. And so that's why it's so important to be on top of what's going on. I mean, I never thought that I would hear somebody say that cartels are using social media to recruit.
Well, what final tips? We've talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, of course, is that there's fabulous opportunities out there educationally, connecting with family. We're doing research, what have you. The bad could manifest into an addiction not only to social media, but to images and to pornography or to other activities on social media. And now, of course, we've just discussed the ugly that you see too much of. But thank goodness. Review the 4 pillars again of Street Grace, if you would.
Yeah, prevention, which is outreach, protection, policy, and pursuit.
Okay, and what about the protection is running the gamut. How you're involved with the prevention, but on the protection side, what's engaged there? What do you say?
So on that protection side, we have our survivor advisory board.
Okay.
And then we also have our care coordinators in Georgia and Tennessee that work with CSEC confirmed youth.
Okay. And then pursuit is
transaction intercept. We are going after.
That's the Gracie.
Yeah. That's the Gracie.
Fantastic.
And I will say we, our demand reduction, we believe that if we can stop the demand, then there's nothing to sell, right? And so going after the buyers is important because you are purchasing a child. You are acting in this activity, even though there is some another person selling, you are the buyer. So if there was not a buyer, there wouldn't be anything to sell. And we are Christ-centered, so we believe in redemption. Like I said, with Gracie, once you start talking, you message that phone number and you guys are having a conversation. Once that ends, you get a deterrence message letting you know that this is a felony across, these 50 states. And then we'll send you resources, on addiction to sex, on addiction to pornography, so that you can get help. Because we believe that's important. Some people, they were never taught certain things. So, okay, we're here to not only we know what's going on, but there's a problem on both ends. And so where can we stop it?
Well, Shanita, thank you so much for being a light in this industry and share your knowledge of how social media has been such a major player. And it's been a blessing to get to know you and to have this opportunity to interact. Yeah. So, dads, embrace this reality of the world the way it is. And of course, part of it, as we said, is you making sure that you're conveying and communicating the reality versus fantasy for the generation that's on social media. That you manage social media well, and that you stay on guard, keep your guard up, you and your bride both, to understand because The best thing upstream to shut all this down is dad and mom in the home exhibiting a healthy relationship day in, day out. That kids know what a healthy relationship is all about. And in a Christian home, they even know what a relationship with Jesus Christ is about, because the closest thing to our relationship with Christ in the flesh is in marriage. Now, I know there are some homes out there that are not two-parent homes, but find that father figure, that mother figure that needs to help stand in the gap a little bit. So thank you again, Shanita, for your time. And dads, stay on top of this social media beast. It's good, it's bad, and it can get ugly. But you can manage it by His grace and for His glory. That's the dad you're called to be. That's the dad the next generation needs to see. God bless, Godspeed.